little happening of last night. Welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night, starting right where we left off in the next episode. I don't know what's gonna happen. We've gone through all the character introductions, so now we're gonna go to the insane stuff. Two, little happening of last night. So ready. Oh, we're starting off with crazy animations?
都会は魔界だ。けど、慣れれば割と住みやすいとは思う。
Okay, calm down. It's the beginning of the episode. Whoo, this music. Sojiro sighed. Listlessly? He looked down at the winter schoolyard below, lost in thought. December was written on the corner of the chalkboard. He could not believe 10 days had already passed since he transferred to the school. The last vestige of autumn had faded with the change of the month. The trees were all but barren, and the ground below them a mat of fallen leaves. Oh my lord. Fourth period was classics. An elderly teacher stood at the lectern and rambled on. While he had finally gotten used to the classroom, he still had a long way to go to get up to speed in his classes. Lacking even the basic understanding most students learned in their early scholastic life, it was a battle for Sojiro to keep up. Even if he was unable to grasp all of the content right away, he at least tried to memorize everything in the hope that he could make use of it down the road. Which is why losing himself in his thoughts was about the last thing he should have been doing. He would normally chastise himself for daydreaming, but troubling, he was unable to concentrate in class today. Sojiro could not place the source of his lack of concentration. Could not have been the winter in the city. It was much milder than in the mountains. Neither was his part-time job particularly tiring. Wow. I'm telling you, I'll be making my own story. He was not any more physically fatigued than the average student, so that could not be it either. Others might conclude that it was because the courses were boring. That seemed off the mark too. Sojiro did not share his classmates' opinions about their classes. On the contrary, he rather enjoyed his class time. No, his frame of mind was not to blame either. Trying to figure out what was wrong only made him more depressed.
いけない。こんなんじゃ気が散る一方だ。
He scolded himself and turned his attention to the chalkboard. The rhythmic ticks of the chalk were sending him into a slumber, but he somehow managed to resist their lullaby. And yet, he was still unable to focus on the class. Sojiro reflected silently, as was his custom, and sighed inwardly. Deep down, he knew the real source of his agitation. The events of the previous night were the only thing it could be. With a chime to signal the end of class, the teacher bowed and exited into the hallway. To see him off, the 30 or so students all stood up from their desk. The clock, which had seemed to slow dramatically around 11:30, now struck noon. The tension seemed to fade from the room all at once. The release from a difficult lesson was the start of lunchtime, the highlight of school life. Osaki High's cafeteria was not particularly known for its quality of food, of course. Complaints that the quality was below that of private school went unheeded. And the same unique flavors appeared on the menu each and every day. Private school prices coupled with subpar quality led to a majority of the students to opt for box lunches instead, bento. Sojiro's class 2C was no exception. The boys muscled as many as 10 desks into what resembled a long dining table. Conversely, the girls divided themselves into smaller tables or 2 or 3 desks with practiced ease and started chatting with their unique cliques. Why did I say was unique there? Can I go back? No, I don't know. Look, the improvising is crazy. You know, you pay $40 for this game, but you watch this video for completely free with narration and improvisation, bro. Like, come on. Like, what a deal. Not a single student wasted even a second of their precious lunchtime. Where both sides differed in method, they shared a common goal. Sojiro was struck dumb by the efficiency of the transformation. Even after 10 days, he was unable to keep pace with the rest of the class and remained seated where he had sat during the previous period.
Oi! こっち来いよ、しずき!
The voice came from a large makeshift dining table near the window. Oh my boy! Hosuke Kinomi was beckoning him over while leaning back in his chair in a way that looked like he could fall backward at any second. He was regularly shot down by others in the class for being lazy and crass, but his earnest nature kept him from getting on anyone's bad side. Fair? Though something could be said for not being so forthcoming all the time too.
飯にしようぜ、飯。俺さ、昨日店の残り物もらいすぎたんだよ。春巻きだよ、春巻き。それを見た親父がさ、もらったもんは残すなってうるさくてさ。
It seemed his end game was to find someone who might take pity on him and trade for something better. A tale we all know. The two of them worked at the same restaurant, so he was one of the few people Sojiro knew before starting school. He was also the reason Sojiro was able to learn the true meaning of the phrase, can't live with them, can't live without them. Can't live with them, can't live without them.
お、いいな。しずきも来いよ。今日は待ちに待った缶詰祭りをすっからさ。
ついに結婚するのかよ。誰か冷静になった方がいいんじゃないのか、実際。
バカ、すげえ楽しいってきっと。そりゃパチモン臭いけど、カニ缶とか食い放題なんだぜ。サバ缶じゃなくて。
マジ？やったー！俺も参加する！コンビーフは一人一個？それとも早い者勝ち？
お前な、一人で何個も食えるもんじゃねえぞ、あれ。うまいのは最初の1個だけだって。
しずきたちが来るならノルマは1人7個に下がるのか。助かるな。
ところで木の実の弁当の中身なんか缶詰より硬そうじゃね？
The boys usually passed time by making fun of each other's lunches, but today they were united against a common foe. A pyramid of countless cans stood in the middle of the table. They had all been taken from the pantry of a certain student's house, and the expiration dates on them had all been scribbled out with a marker.
よし、やろうども。各自毎缶切りの用意はいいな。食べるも地獄、残すも地獄。我ら5次元目の授業はないものと恐れぬ修羅となり、鉄の悪魔どもを平らげん。食材は下町の何でも紹介、マーケット中山からの提供です。
ヒュー！バカも休み休み、イエーイ！
The boys united as one and hoisted their can openers into the air.
ほら、しずきも食べようぜ。缶切りならまだあるからさ。
いや、君らの弁当の毒味はごめんだって昨日言ったはずだ。それにその缶詰半分以上賞味期限切れてるだろ。
なんだよ、釣れねえな。
Quiet and inexplicably excited group of guys. Quite inexplicably excited group. Look, their real motivation seemed to be to spread the pain. But moved by their energy and conceding defeat, Sojiro got up from his seat and joined them. And before he could,
じゃあ私たちが釣り上げようかな。しずきくん、あんなの放っておいて一緒にどう？
another interested party joined the fray. Is this where I can make a decision? No? Okay. A girl with a short but stylish hair had called him out. She had also tried to get Sojiro to join the track and field club several days earlier.
いや、そっちも遠慮したいな。できれば。
He answered with a troubled look on his face. On their table was nothing but a pile of fruit Sojiro had never seen before.
なんで？パパイヤとか か嫌い？マンゴーもあるし、ヤシの実だってあるし、内緒だけど夕張メロンもあるんだから。
The members of the fruit group pumped their fist in unison at the last delicacy.
待て、なんだヤシの実って。あれ食えるもんなの？
あ、マンゴー余ったら回してほしいな。
バカ、肉食え肉。そんなんだから貧弱な体してんだぞお前ら。
Sojiro couldn't keep track of all the voices flying across the room.
わかるのはどっちも破滅的だってことだけだ。
That being said, he found it difficult to refuse them outright. His tendency to accept others' goodwill at face value occasionally left him frozen with indecision. Not accustomed to regular human interaction, he was unable to judge when it was or was not appropriate to turn someone down. Someone tapped the lost little lamb on the shoulder.
ほっとけほっとけ。いちいちここのバカどもに付き合ってちゃ人生台無しだ。適当に流しとけばいいんだよ。ほら、お前らもな、善良な羊を悪の園に引きずり込んでんじゃねえよ。
An inappropriately loud voice echoed throughout the classroom from behind.
副会長、
Sojiro turned around to see a boy about a head taller than him. His long hair, while unkept, had been brushed back, giving it an appealing, windswept look. His attractive features belied the contempt for the classroom in his eyes. What? Hold on. Run that back. His attractive features belied the contempt for the class his eyes carried. Unlike the perpetually dopey-looking Sojiro, he was an extremely attractive boy, capable of captivating anyone who so much as glanced at him. In most cases, such a boy's presence would be met with awe and respect. However,
なんだよ、副会長様のお出ましかよ。
てめえらのバカ顔にはコリゴリだって学食に陣取ってたんじゃなかったのかよ。
へへへ。ここは見ての通り、ボンクラどもが集う貧民街でございますよ。王子はほら、A組の綺麗どころとカフェでお茶でもしてればいいじゃない。
またしずき呼びに来たのかよ。青子女子といい、飛び丸殿下といい。しずき、なんかヤバいことしちゃったのか。
しずきくんは高速違反しないじゃん。ちょっとそれ以外のルール破るだけで。
that's not entirely true.
ってことはやっぱり築地くん、青崎に振られてからそっちに走ったって本当だったのね。
They continued to give him a hard time. Sojiro could not help but feel sorry for him. The class vice president, on the other hand, showed absolutely no reaction whatsoever. He glared at them with a bored look and simply raised his voice.
相変わらず無駄に元気があって結構じゃねえか、てめえら。そんなに活力たぎってんなら冬季特別清掃班にだって参加できるよな。おい、今んところ自主的に申し出てるのは全校で一人しかいねえんだ。西全員が参加すりゃ俺も青崎も肩の荷が下りるってもんなんだがよ。
The menacing growl in his voice contrasted gently with the boy's well-constructed looks. Both Team Canned and Team Fruit's words were doused like a fire being smothered. This was partly due to their fear of the boy, but mostly due to their fear of Special Winter Cleaning Team. Yes, the Special Winter Cleaning Team. Joining meant spending part of your winter break cleaning up the old school building and Mountain's rear courtyard that had been neglected by the previous two student councils. It was a form of legalized torture that could potentially ruin 3 whole days of your winter break. And forget about any compensation in the form of extra credits. No, it was pointless volunteer work for a student council project. It was practically a miracle that they had found even a single volunteer.
いや、僕らちょっと体弱いんでスミッチョで缶詰食べてますね。
私たちも貧血気味でこうやって果物食べてないと死んじゃうっていうか、冬休みはもう予定いっぱいっていうか。
All the students but one scuffled away.
よし、昼食はやっぱり静かにやらねえとな。1年坊主の教室より2年の教室の方がやかましいなんて苦情、いい加減にしやがれよ、アホども。
The mob meekly scurried away. Sojiro turned to join them, but as he did,
あ、お前はこっちだ、宗次郎。ちょい顔貸せ。
the hand on his shoulder held him in place.
だよ、生徒会応募。人んちのテーブルマナーまで指図してほしくねえよな。
Kinomi cursed him under his breath to his friends the second the vice president turned to go.
はあ、上等じゃねえか、木の実。いいぜ、お前が記念すべき2人目だ。冬休み、首を洗って待ってやがれ。
The vice president must have heard everything Kinomi said, because he gave the thumbs up before figuratively jabbing it in his eye.
はあ、何言ってんですかあいつ。あれ自主的なイベントじゃん。いくら副会長ったって強制はできないですよね。
The problem child of Class C laughed merrily.
そりゃ昨日までの話だ。
Ooh.
会長の提案が学校側に受理されてな。本日付で生徒会役員は強制力のある推薦権をもらえたんだよ。
Watch his face change. Yup.
特に会長と副会長の推薦は絶対だ。拒否した場合、学校側はともかく青崎が何するか俺には止められねえから、そのつもりでな。
それ事実上の死刑宣告じゃ。生徒会マジ応募。
Kinomi's terrified shrieking continued behind them as the vice president and Sojiro left the classroom.
お前も大変だな、宗十郎。
あんたも割と暇なんだな、副会長。
The two entered the empty student council room. Misaki High student council room had the use of two rooms. My bad. One was a large office specifically made for the student council. The second was an archive room, once used as a proprietary office for math club. Look, depending on the song, I can read better, bro. If they were playing the main theme right now, God, like, look, I have so many excuses. Okay, as the latter of the two, the walls were lined with densely packed shelves, making an already crammed room seem even more confined. For this reason, it served more as a private refuge to the student council. The two students sat across from one another. Tobimaru Tsukiji. He was the son of the chairman of Misaki High School and the vice president of its student council. Like Sojiro, he was in his second year and first met the transfer student a week earlier when the task of looking after him was dumped onto the student council.
副会長はやめろって。クソったれな話だが、俺は所詮会長の犬だからな。
As self-deprecating as his words were, he hardly seemed dissatisfied with the arrangement. He took a snack from his pocket and grimaced at it before taking a bite. The 100-calorie energy bar sacrificed flavor for efficiency, but somehow not enough to prevent him gnawing on it like a piece of jerky.
そうか。でも犬は良くないな、飛び丸。
Jeez. Sojiro sat in the chair with a concerned look on his face.
あ？犬がどうしたって？
犬は良くないって言った。例えが違う気がするし、何より怖いぞ、あれ。
なんだよ。山奥育ちのくせに犬が怖いのか？
そりゃ大抵の生き物は怖いけど、犬は別格だ。徒党を組んだ野犬ほど始末に負えないものはない。足の速さも脅威だけど、何より執念深すぎる。坂だろうと追いかけてくるし、 最後の一匹になるまで引かないんだぞ。
Sojiro opened his lunch as he spoke. Inside the bright green cloth, 3 beautifully made triangular rice balls.
ショックだ。
ショックって何が？
いや、そんなこの世のものとは思えない握り飯を見たのは初めてだ。
それどっちなんだ？
褒めてるんだよ、バカ。
Sojiro was always confounded by phrasing that could be interpreted in multiple ways. Euphemisms and subtle sarcasm were often lost on him. It was only on rare occasions like this one that he chose to confirm what was being said. Tobimaru had come to suspect that Sojiro had a very black and white way of seeing things.
ところで、その固まった小麦粉みたいなの、美味しいのか？
Sojiro stared at the energy bar with a curious look on his face.
まずくはねえが、うまくもねえよ。まあ、試してみる分には止めねえが。人間、何事も手間暇惜しむようになっちゃおしまいだぜ。
Tobimaru quickly finished off his bar, put another one on the table, and grabbed one of Sojiro's rice balls. I guess that's a trade. Sojiro failed to notice the rudeness of the forced exchange and gave a Profi energy bar a try.
なんだか土を食べてるみたいだ。
違いない。遊びをなくせば人生こんなもんだって見本だな。
Out of principle, Sojiro labored over his energy bar, cringing all the while. He was both curious of the unknown and loath to leave something unfinished.
今無理に平らげる必要はねえぞ。そいつの利点は携帯食ってところだからな。素で味気ないが、食えるうちは味が落ちないのがいいところだ。まあ、そっちはともかく。どうだ、少しは慣れたか？
ああ、飛丸や青崎が気を使ってくれているからね。
Tobimaru turned his eyes up to the ceiling, unable to handle Sojiro's carefree smile. As absent-minded as Sojiro might have been, his expressions were nonetheless incredibly earnest. It was like poison to someone as self-absorbed as Tobimaru.
だから青崎は来ねえんだよな。
He took a bite from the rice ball to steer himself away from such thoughts. Though now cold, the rice had managed to maintain its freshness, startling Tobimaru.
ん？いや待て。気を使ってんのは俺だけじゃねえか。青崎なんてお前が転入した日に彼迷惑だから見張ってての一言だけだぞ。
なんでそこで君が怒るんだ？
いや、だからだな。お前が学校になれるよう陰ながら見守ってんのは俺で、青崎は生徒会室で全校生徒の弱みを集めてるだけって話だ。面倒な苦労してんのは俺だけじゃねえかって。
Tobimaru stopped himself, realizing how ridiculous he sounded. Sojiro, rightly so, knew it was nothing to get this upset over.
まあ、いいさ。青崎に言いつけられなきゃこうなることもなかったしな。知ってるか？あいつ、どうして俺にこんな役させたと思う？
副会長だからだろ。
Tobimaru's handsome face went dark.
あのな、どうして副会長が転入生一人にかかりっきりにならなくちゃいけねえんだよ。いいぜ。機会があったら青崎本人に聞いてみな。あいつの本性がわかるからよ。
He snatched another bite of the rice ball while grumbling under his breath. There it was again, rice grains that were just dry enough to be fresh and tender in the mouth, a morsel that betrayed its humble description, which must have been delicately molded by a master chef rather than haphazardly clumped into a ball.
そして何よりこの塩加減、中の具から染み出した玄妙な醤油加減はどうだ。食欲をそそるどころか 脳を食欲だけにするような。
飛び丸、思ってることが口に出てるみたいだけど。
いや、それほどのショックだったってわけだ。なあ、その字、これ具は何だ？
It was only natural to inquire about the unexpectedly delicious bite. He had been nibbling around the edges and had not yet reached its center.
ああ、それはイナゴ。
Bugs are really good for you. Shout out to him. Bro, can I just say this? Sojiro might be my new profile picture. Axel, bro, I'm sorry. Dude, like, that's my guy. I've been trying to get into eating bugs. I can't even lie to you. It's hard because we don't do that over in the West for some reason. Okay, the vice president choked on his cough. He had assumed that Sojiro would prefer earthly ingredients instead of seafood on account to his mountain life, but he never expected he would use grasshoppers.
くそ、食う前に言えよな。信じられねえぐらいうまいと思っちまったじゃねえか。
ああ、今のは嘘だよ。
I lied. Axel, you stand. They locked eyes for a moment.
本当は鮭。いくらなんでもイナゴはね。
Dang. Is this what it feels like to be rejected?
おお、そうだよな。いや、安心した。いくらなんでもイナゴはねえよな。
ああ、こんな都会で身の締まったイナゴが手に入るもんか。
As curious as those words were, Tobimaru decided to let him go.
たく、どっちにしても冗談きついぜ。危うく吐き出すところだったじゃねえか。
君が青崎の悪口を言うからだ。
Oh, okay. Sojiro closed his eyes as he continued to chew on his rice ball. Tobimaru watched incredulously as Sojiro made no attempt to hide his disapproval.
おい、今のはさすがに聞き捨てならねえぞ。俺が青崎の悪口を言ったから意種返しをしたと、そう。
Sojiro continued chewing. The country boy's silent protest said all that needed to be said. The vice president suddenly looked like he had been struck by lightning.
なんてこった。お前、まさか青崎に惚れてんのか？そうなのか？そうなんだな。おい、眠ってねえで起きろ。
Tobimaru flew out his chair and violently shook Sojiro by the shoulders. Sojiro opened his eyes.
そうか。お前は1年前の惨劇を知らないんだな。知ってりゃ、そんなストレートな破滅願望を持つこともなかったろうに。
君の言葉には誤解が含まれてるけど、それは後にする。それより、1年前の惨劇って？
Tobimaru regained his composure and sat down after a moment's thought.
仕方ねえ。この手の噂をするのは好きじゃねえんだけどな。
Tobimaru reassured himself that it was in Sojiro's best interest as a young man to know.
あれは青崎がまだ1年の頃の話だ。あの頃はみんな入学したばっかりで、青崎がどんな性格か誰も知らなかった。あいつ、外見は文句なしに美人だからな。そりゃ男どもは狂気乱舞したもんさ。
Little did they know that soon after they would go crazy for an entirely different reason.
4月5月はもう上を下への大騒ぎだよ。あの時ばかりは上級生も下級生もなかったな。野郎同士の牽制、共闘、果ては決闘まで。まあよくも騒いだもんさ。青崎に近寄るだけでも大変だったんだぜ。
なんでそんなよくわからない事態になるんだ？
そりゃ青崎は一人きり、命知らずな野郎は延べ100人ほどいたからだよ。一人一人青崎とランチしても3ヶ月かかるだろ。だからまずは男同士でつまんねえ暗闘があったのさ。まあいい。わからねえならそこは飛ばそう。所詮負け犬どもの話だしな。 でな、そんなどうでもいい戦いを勝ち残った奴らは列なしで1年の女に言い寄ったわけだ。青崎はあれで、なんていうか、相手のなけなしの誠意じゃなくてあれか、勇気、そういうのを無視できずに認めちまうやつだからな。言い寄ってくる相手を可能な限り丁寧に断ってた。が、中にはそれで勘違いしちまうやつもいてよ。3年のある野郎がこれは脈ありと見て青崎に何度も言い寄ったんだよ。多分そいつ頭がおかしかったんだ。今にして思うとそうとしか思え。
Incidentally, Tobimaro decided to gloss over the fact that this student was also the former student council president.
学園ばかりか、青崎の家まで押しかけたそうでな。あまりにしつこいんで青崎も堪忍袋の尾が切れたんだろう。ちょっと口にするのははばかられる方法で振ったんだよ。結果、そいつは自分から他校に転入希望したばかりか、三崎町からも逃げ出しちまって、青崎も1ヶ月ばかり自宅謹慎を食らった。
Self-defense.
世に言う血の公会堂事件だ。詳しく知りたけりゃ本人はまずいな。新聞部にでも行け。あそこの部長は命知らずだから、聞けば面白がって教えてくれる。
飛び丸、その具体的な表現を恋に避けてないか。
仕方ねえだろ。理事長の息子だろうがなんだろうが、怖いものは怖えし、高校ぐらいは無事卒業しとかねえとな。うちの女子の制服見るたびに規制を上げるトラウマなんて持ちたくねえよ。
Sojiro tilted his head to the side in confusion. Tobimaro had lost him with that comment.
まあいい。それより、なんで青崎なんかがいいんだよ、宗次郎。
He tilted his head again, this time to the other side.
おい、お前、本当に青崎が好きなのか？単に胸がドキドキ言ってるだけなら、それは恋じゃなくて恐怖だってオチもあるぜ。いくらその字がぼんやりでも、理由ってもんがあるだろう。
He tilted his head even further. What Tobimaro was saying sounded off, but Sojiro decided not to press the matter. All the more because he found many of his own emotions towards Awazaki to be oh my god, I knew it was gonna happen. Why do I exist? I can say this word without looking at it, but when I look at it, it's like that word's too big, you know? I play Dragon Ball games on this channel, you know? Incomprehensible. See? When I don't look at the word, I can read it. Why is that a thing? Scientists in the chat, where are you? Scientists in the comments, where are you? Why can I know the word, but then I try to read it. It's like English doesn't work. Like, why is English, you know?
そうだな、おかしい。俺はあまり彼女を知らないのにね。
That was because they had not truly spoken to each other since the day she showed him around. Every time Sojiro tried to talk to her, she immediately got up and left. As fate would have it, they ended up working together that recent Sunday, but made only idle chatter on the way and back.
けど飛び丸、君は知らないだけなんだ。時々なんだが、誰かの視線を感じて振り返ってみると、いつ失敗するかを心配して見ている人がいる。飛び丸の言う通り、ただ廊下で俺を見かけて単に監視していただけなのかもしれない。本当は俺のことなんて気にせず素通りしたいのかもしれない。けどどんな種類であれ、彼女の心配は本物だ。それにここが一番大事だと思うんだけど、実際の話、青崎のそういうところのおかげで俺は助かっていたりするんだ。
His tone was measured and sincere. Tobimaro sighed with a tinge of regret. If not for those words, he could have introduced Sojiro to a more subtle girl with whom he could live out the rest of his school days in peace. He never went to such lengths for his other friends. Generally speaking, if it was of some benefit to him, he was unafraid of exploiting another. If they were of no use, he didn't bother getting involved with them. That was how Tobimaru Tsukiji operated. Sojiro happened to be the type of person who provided no benefit to Tobimaru, yet somehow sparked in him a desire to help. It was not that friendship was completely alien to him. He just did not have many people he felt that close to. So if Sojiro had fallen for Aoko, it was not his place as a friend to try to change his mind.
やれやれ。結局、惚れてるやつには理由なんていらねえんだな。
そんなことはない。理由なら一つある。彼女を一目見たときに綺麗だなって思ったぞ。
ん？
Tobimaru's shoulders slumped.
なんだ？あんだけ恥ずかしいセリフ言っといて、要は外見に惚れてますな。結局見てくれかよ、宗次郎。
綺麗なものに見とれるのはいいことじゃないのか？自分を綺麗に見せる努力をしているんだから、外見から内面を判断するのはそんなおかしな話じゃないと思う。
That sounded like a sophism to Tobimaru, but he had no counterpoint to offer. I could, no
しょうが
counter.
ねえ。わかったよ。この話はもうやめよう。その字が誰をてめえの女にするか、俺の知ったことじゃねえし。
Now, about the one major thing that Tobimaru had been mistaken about this whole conversation, namely that Sojiro was not head over heels in love with Aoko and hoped to go steady with her. He merely liked her as a person. Nobody could have foreseen the massive calamity that would be caused by this simple misunderstanding.
だがよ、一つだけ忠告しておくぜ、宗次郎。青崎は喧嘩をした相手だろうと別に嫌うわけじゃない。逆に言えば親切にしたって別に好かれるわけでもない。いい例が俺だ。
He spoke with a pained sigh, as if opening old wounds from the past.
そうか。詳しく。
おう、昔な、あいつがあんまりに独善的だったんで、つい手を挙げかけちまったことがある。半年前の夏だ。1年もあいつと生徒会やってたもんだから、俺も女っつうより戦友って気になっててな。つい勢いで平手打ちをしようと右手を上げた。我ながら4番バッターも各やという腰のひねり。確かな実感とともに俺は勝利を確信したもんさ。
He didn't know about her 2-2 seed, bro. Did not know about the 6 seed. He had a distant look in his eyes as his words trailed off.
翌日になって、こりゃ完全に敵扱いされたなと覚悟して生徒会室に行ってみりゃ、青崎はいつも通りだった。で、以来あいつと俺は会長と副会長で収まってる。
Sojiro cited his story, and then said with absolute confidence,
今の話を総合すると、君は単にのろけたいのか？
clearly he had missed the point entirely.
なわけあるか！今の話のどこに甘酸っぱい要素があんだよ。俺としちゃあいつを女として見なくなった決定的な事件だったんだがね。
なんだ、違うのか？
A look of disappointment filtered across Sojiro's face. Tobimaru revised his opinion of him. Sojiro was something of a simpleton, but there was something more about him that Tobimaru could not quite place.
とにかくだ。俺が言いたいのは、青崎青子の好き嫌いの基準ってのは普通じゃないってことだ。いいことをすれば好かれる。気に入らないことをすれば嫌われる。ってわけじゃねえんだよ。あのお姫様は。
Sojiro answered that he would keep it in mind as he looked to the clock. They had been talking for a while, and lunch was almost
も
over.
う君からの話はないか？
あ、初めからねえよ、そんなの。
ん？
Why had Tobimaro even brought him here in the first place? Sojiro tilted his head in wonder, but shook it off to deal with the more pressing matter at hand.
よし。じゃあもう少し付き合ってくれ。
ん？
Tobimaro sat up straight, having never seen Sojiro's face look so serious before. Sojiro set aside his rice ball and cleared his throat.
実は昨日、こんなことがあって。
He spoke solemnly, and as carefully as possible. He recounted what had occurred the night before.
しずきくんいる？
It was 10 to 12, and lunchtime was quickly coming to an end. Her face popped into Class C as lively as ever. As if it were an everyday occurrence, Alko Aozaki announced her presence. While Alko wasn't a part of Class C, she didn't let it bother her as she casually entered the classroom. In contrast, the baby birds who had been so noisily chirping while eating lunch quickly quieted and began to rearrange their seats.
どういう意味よそれ？
She bristled internally before looking around the room. She could not see the male student she had come here to find. He hardly stood out, so she thought he might be hidden in a corner somewhere, but that appeared to not be the case.
有里くん、出席番号12
港？
番のしずきくんは？
I'm sorry, Persona 3 player here. I had to. Ako kept her tone professional.
俺？しずきならさっき飛び丸殿下が連れて行ったよ。
The boy was shocked that she actually knew his name. One might think that the reason students refer to Tobimaro Tsukiji by a royal title was because he was the chairman's son, but it was because he actually acted like royalty. In fact, the vice president was said to have taken a liking to the title.
飛び丸が？あいつしずきくんと仲いいの？
She seemed surprised. The class seemed surprised at her surprise.
いいも悪いも築地くんが男子と仲良く話してるのって今まで見たことなかったよ私たち。あ、木の実くんはバカだから別だけど。
そうだよな。初めは殿下もあんまり話してなかったけど、3日もしたら楽しそうに口喧嘩してたもんな。
ま、しずき相手に突っ張っても仕方ないじゃん。あいつ変だけどいいやつだし。
そうよね。いい人だもんね、宗十郎くん。
Having recomposed themselves, Class C started chatting again. Alko listened for a bit before turning around and leaving the class with a later. What is going on? All the Sojiro talk finished as quickly as it had started. Lunchtime was coming to a close in the student council room. Sojiro, having told his story, was smiling in satisfaction. Tobimaro, still sitting across from him, was frowning.
さあ、感想を聞かせてくれ。
Sojiro told his yarn as best as he could. Tobimaro fingered his brow as if he was angry or concerned.
なあ、そうのじ。お前、人をバカにできるほど器用なやつじゃねえよな。
失礼な。器用な方だぞ俺は。
His response only confirmed Tobimaro's suspicions. It had to be one of the two possible conclusions. That what Sojiro had just told him was the truth. Oh, my bad. Or that Sojiro was so tired that he must have been hallucinating at the time. I must be hallucinating right now because I cannot read. I don't know what's going on. Tobimaro sincerely hoped it was the latter.
宗十郎、率直に言って、俺はお前が気に入っている。嘘のない人間なんてのは人間じゃねえ。俺は人間嫌いだから、そんなお前さんが気に入ってたりするんだが、そんなやつまで馬鹿げたことを言い出したら、俺は明日から何を頼りに昼飯を食えばいいんだ？
学食で食べればいいんじゃないか？
Hearing his hearing his suggestion, Tobimaru's face darkened.
わかった。はっきり言おう。それは幻覚だ。幽霊の正体見たり枯れ尾花ってやつだろうさ。それでも納得いかないってんなら、いい精神科を紹介してやる。
それが君の感想か。よし、ならいいんだ。
As bitter as Tobimaru's words might have sounded to most, Sojiro swallowed them whole.
そりゃ俺だって神隠しの類だと思ったよ。けど都会じゃもしかしてそれもありなのかもしれないだろ。確かめたかったのはそこなんだ。
Satisfied, Sojiro finished off his last rice ball and neatly folded the cloth.
おい、すると何か？お前は都会の人間は口から火を吹いたり、腕が伸びたりするのが普通だと思ったのか？
まあ普通じゃないけど特別でもないんじゃないかと思ったんだ。ここは山にないものが溢れている何でもありの場所だ。だからそれぐらいやってのける人だってもしかしているのかなと。
That his face was as serious as it made Tobimaru realize just how big a culture shock Sojiro must have been experiencing. Hold on. That his face was as serious as it was made. Okay. I think I understand that. Living up in the mountains with no electricity, in a place where the night sky was as it always had been, where humans were just one more organism in nature's garden, it made sense that these conditions would create a boy like him. The idea of children growing up so pure was an appealing one. But maybe it was natural to forego civilization when your population was so small. Or perhaps it was so simple a world that excessive knowledge was deemed irrelevant. It was precisely because city life offered him so much that was impossible up until now that he had come to the conclusion that anything was possible here.
安心しろ。確かにこっちにはタチの悪い奴らばっかりだけどな。そんな魔法使いみたいな奴はいねえよ。
そうだといいんだけど。
But Sojiro seemed unsure. And on Tobimaru's part, there were things that Sojiro's story that he found hard to swallow. Whether true or not, the incident Sojiro had described was disturbing.
まあ、事の真偽というか、どんな間違いでそう見えたかは置いておいてだ。結果だけ見れば、うちの生徒が夜の公園で人を殺したってことになる。しかも双方控えめに表現しても普通じゃねえ。
As a newcomer to the town, Sojiro assumed that everyone his age was a student at this school. For better or for worse, he was right.
一人は火炎放射器を持って、もう一人は、まあなんだ、なぎなたでも持ち出したのか、刃物らしきものが何メートルも伸びたときた。
Sojiro bobbed his head up and down as he listened to the disbelief in Tobimaru's voice. Hearing it repeated by someone else, he could see how someone might think he was taking them for a ride.
正気を疑うな。尋常じゃないぞその話。
宗十郎、お前、実は俺をからかってんだろ。
いや、全く。けどまあ、都会にはそんな人間はいないんだろ。なら飛び丸の言う通り、夢でも見てたんだ。ここのところアルバイトと試験が重なって辛くて。
Winter break was just around the corner, and the end of the term exams were about a week away. Both were proving formidable opponents for Sojiro.
俺は基本ができてないから、人の倍程度の勉強じゃ追いつけない。ほら、勉強ばかりしているとノイローゼをするんだろ。
そりゃするんじゃなくてなるものだが、まあ、何にせよ、やりすぎ飲みすぎは良くねえわな。
減らしてはいるんだけどね。年末ってアルバイトを休む人も多くて、その代行も頼まれがちだし。
He shrugged helplessly. It was obvious from his words that he had been busy. Even if he was not crazy, or going crazy, lack of sleep could have caused him to daydream. even if this all did go down in the middle of the night.
なんだか大変そうだな、宗十郎。
ああ、実はかなり参ってる。
Sojiro nodded with a pained look on his face. What was strange, however, was that he did not look the least bit tired.
泣き言言わねえのは感心するけどな。お前、新郎は顔に出ないたちか？
そりゃ、新郎はどこも痛まないからね。
As he answered, Sojiro looked at the clock on the wall. Lunchtime was almost over.
飛び丸、時間だ。
ああ、もうそんなに経ったか。気にせず先に行ってていいぜ。
This is kind of
俺
out
は
of
ま
the
だ
blue.
用があるからよ。
But how do you guys feel about 2-hour episodes? I feel like this series is going to move super slowly if we do an hour, because this is the one scene we've had this entire video, right? It's like we're moving scene by scene. So maybe not even 2 hours, 3 hours. Like, how do you guys, like, what length is the cutoff, right? I feel like 2 hours 30 would be fine. Because again, it's not like you have to watch the video in one sitting or, you know, whatever. It is a book we are reading. So you can digest it however you'd like. But I feel like getting this out in a proper way to the point where we finish, you know, by next year, I think I need to make these a little longer. And I wanted to keep recording right after I was done with this one anyway. So yeah, the only issue is that for some reason I can't read today. I don't know what's going on. But that being said, we're going to continue. I do want to do another save, just paranoia, you know, why not? Okay. Sojiro watched as Tobimaru made a gesture that seemed to lament the life of a student council member. His eyes looked as if they were looking at a piece of art and not understanding its value.
授業をサボれる身分っていうのは羨ましいな。そういうの、飛び丸が嫌いな手抜きじゃないのか？
そりゃ誤解も甚だしい。俺の欠席は手抜きじゃねえ。特権ってやつだと言ったろ。
The vice president angrily defended himself as he stood up. The transfer student merely gazed at him, unfazed.
おいおい、あれだけ説明したのに全然分かってなかったのか？しょうがねえ。まず座れ。いいか、その字。常人を上回る英気と幸運を兼ね備えながら、座することなく精進してきた俺でも、ここを卒業しちまえば裸一貫になっちまうんだぞ。ひでえ話だ。てめえの家柄を活用できんのはあと1年ちょいだけなんだぜ。これの一体どこが羨ましいってんだ。普通一生続くはずの親の七光ってやつが、俺の場合はたった3年間しかねえんだからな。となりゃ有効なうちに使っておかなきゃもったいなくておちおち眠ってもいられねえ。ああ、嫌だ嫌だ。何が嫌かってバカどもとガン首並べて金勘定するのが嫌だ。たく嫉妬渦巻く大人の世界じゃ俺のオブラートみたいな心なんてパックリ飲まれて溶けちまうこと受け合いだろうさ。
While he must have been joking, Sojiro took his tone to be completely sincere. He listened as he envied Tobimaru's ability to be so open about his feelings. From his frame of reference, there was nothing he could do but take Tobimaru's word for it. When
あら、そんな権利なんて留年すればいくらでも引き延ばせるのに。なんなら協力してあげましょうか。この
I'm sorry, Alco. I am impatient. The door to the student council room flew open, washing away Sojiro's half-hearted response to his friend. The frosty statement destroyed the warm atmosphere of the room, and it almost marked the abrupt end to Tobimaru's Tsukiji's reign there.
いや、いい。自分の夢は自分の力だけで叶えようと常々思ってるんだ。
そう。なら今みたいな恥ずかしいこと力説しないでね。廊下にまで聞こえてたわよ、副会長さん。
Not missing a beat, Alko Aozaki stepped inside the room. Her dark hair was slightly disheveled as if she had been running. Her gaze missed the sitting Sojiro entirely was focused completely on the ranting vice president.
頑張れ飛び丸。
Sojiro quietly got up and headed back to his
割
classroom.
と白状なんだな、お前。
I'm sorry, Tobimaru. I'm impatient. Tobimaru grumbled in front of Aozaki. I don't know why I said Aozaki. I guess it's the same thing.
だから、そういうのが白状とだな。
He cut himself off. Aoko briefly shifted her gaze to Sojiro.
時間がないのは私も同じよ。あなたにはいつも振り回される。
Not a complaint. It was her honest opinion.
なんだ要件は宗十郎かよ。
安心なさい。あなたにもあるから。
Her eyes shimmered with a murderous glee. It was slightly different from the more sullen gaze to which Tobimaru had grown accustomed to. For whatever reason, Aoko's mood seemed worse than usual.
しずきくん、あなた、走るのと泳ぐの、どっちが好き？
Aoko asked abruptly. Sojiro frowned a little before saying he was fine with either one.
ダメよ。一つにして。
泳ぐ方かな。けどどうして？
あなたがまだどこの部にも所属してないから。
This dude got like 50 jobs, man. One that left no room for Sojiro to object. You notice how I just like kind of avoided saying that word?
うちの校則読んだわよね。生徒はただ一人の例外もなく、部活動に参加しなくてはならない。
Miss Click.
正直どうかと思う校則だけど、決まりは決まりだから。
そんな無茶な。悪いけどそこまでの暇はないんだ。
でしょうね。
An equally terse response. She was typically to the point, but Tobimaru got the impression that she was expressly trying to keep her interaction with Sojiro short. Expressly? They stared at each other in silence. Tobimaru stood breathlessly silent on the sidelines until Sojiro broke the impasse.
青崎は分かってると思ってた。あ、いや違う。きっと分かっているんだな。うん。だから、そこが強いんだろうね。
Sojiro stood up from his seat. He walked past Aoko and into the
そ
hallway.
れ、明日からでいいんだろ？
しずきくんがいいならね。
He did his best to force a smile before leaving the student council room. While watching the events play out, Tobimaru found himself deeply impressed with Sojiro. He could tell from Aoko's behavior that she was trying to get a rise out of Sojiro. Sojiro, on the other hand, was none the wiser to what Aoko was doing, so he simply went out about his way. To Tobirama, what? Did I just say Tobirama? I knew it was going to happen. Tobimaru. It was hard to believe that Sojiro had not taken offense. All he observed was the performance of a lifetime in Sojiro as he maintained a poker face.
いや、でも何が強いんだろうな、会長。
He looked at Aoko curiously. I kind of forgot Aoko was the protagonist for a minute. Hold on. Aoko stood completely still, staring at the wall.
青崎？
I just thought of this too. I also would like to do longer episodes because it kind of messes with how I'm like taking in the story, right? Because it's like I'm all jumbled up, like I be forgetting stuff. Because I don't record, every day. I don't record this game every day. Or I don't, record right back to back. So doing it this way will help me. I know you guys can just watch from video to video, and honestly, the videos are releasing every Sunday so far, or Saturday? Sunday, I think. So like having longer form videos will probably be better for this. But it is just me testing it out. This is my first time ever recording a visual novel. I don't really see visual novels on YouTube. I never watch it. So, of course, really interested in this one. So had to bring it to the channel. Aoko showed no response. And I also want you guys to learn more about these Titan universe.
青子女子？おい、聞いてんのかよ、青崎青子。
会話ね。青を呼ぶな。
Her fury echoed across the student council room. It was a beautiful sound that could be heard into the hallway and made Tobimaru's rant from earlier pale in comparison.
やかましい。うるせえのはてめえも同じだ。
Perhaps her shouting was still ringing in his ears, or he was just the type to answer with a shout, or shout with a shout. But he shot back reflectively.
そんなんだから男の一人もできねえんだよ、お前は。ほら、目覚めたか？
別にあなたの声は聞こえてた。煩わしかったから無視してただけよ。黙らせるの面倒だし。
てめえな、俺はカカなんかか、おい。
コミュニケーションが成立しない点で言えば、あっちのがまだ上品よね。
ほう、その心は？
お互い何を言ってるかわからない。意味のない会話なら、オーセみたいなものでしょ。
Based on that statement, Alko must have been under the assumption that dating is an act of two lovers whispering nonsense to each other.
問題は、お前にとって意味のある会話ってのがどの程度の価値かってことだが、まあいいか。いつになくきついじゃねえか、青崎。
ちょっとね。今愛嬌振りまける状況じゃないのよ。
不思議だ。この2年間で青崎の愛嬌なんてものは見たことがないんだが。
飛び丸のいない時に振りまいてたの。
そうかよ。やっぱりあの時のこと恨んでるんだろう。
There was only one thing that Tobimaru could be talking about: the incident that occurred in the student council room this past summer.
ずいぶんと昔の話じゃないそれ。そんなどうでもいいことに容量を使っちゃもったいないわよ。ただでさえ脳の覚醒部分が少ないのに。
As the conversation wore on, Alko's murderous aura began to fade, and her sharp gaze gave way to a calmer demeanor rarely seen from her. It was quite possible that nobody besides Tobimaru had ever seen this side of her at school before.
ご忠告どうも。俺だってあんなことは忘れてよ。ただ、さっきその字がバカなこと言いやがるから、つい思い出しちまったんだよ。くそ、考えてみりゃ場所まで一緒じゃねえか。
Despite his ranting, his face betrayed a touch of nostalgia. Alko, on the other hand, was scowling.
ちょっと待って。あの話、彼にしたの？
おう、俺がてめえに、なんで会長になんか立候補したのよ。あんたは副会長って顔でしょ、どう見ても。なんて挑発されて、生涯最高の月をしたところまでな。
Alko let us out a sigh, as if relieved that Tobimaru had not told Sojiro the rest of the story. Even she wasn't sure why.
あれは確かにびっくりするぐらいいい月だった。思わず体が反応しちゃったもんね。
I knew it. Something told me that that punch did not connect. That she dodged it. There was no way my
待て、
man. Okay.
私そんなこと言ったっけ？
She shielded. I'm sorry.
言った。しかも俺が保健室に運ばれたのをこれ幸いと強引に副会長にしやがった。
Since that day, Tobimaru had served as the vice president to the person who usurped the role from him.
いいけどな。俺に会長職は合わねえって分かったし、副会長の方が性に合ってやがる。会長なんてやってたら、
プライド高
Why
い
do
な。
I suck at
で
this?
きることは全部やるからね、飛び丸は。会長職に転身するあまり、気がついたら優等生になってたあんたも見たかったけど。
やめてくれ、ゾッとしねえ。猫かぶるのはお前だけで十分だ。
Tobimaru shooed Alko away like an annoying pest. It was a typical example of the crude verbal abuse they exchanged on a daily basis, with a witness that only two longtime foes could manage.
で、 なんでそんな話したのよ。
は？
半年前のここの事件をなんで彼に話したのよ。
ああ、そっちか。いや、あいつがバカなこと口走ったからなんだが。
He stopped himself before he said any more. He knew better than to let slip the fact that Sojiro had a thing for Alco. Everyone knew guys didn't sell each other out like that. Even if it was all, in truth, a misunderstanding.
それより、さっきのはないんじゃねえのか、青崎。お前、宗十郎に恨みでもあんの
？7日以上前の恨みを引きずるほど私はお姫様じゃないつもりだけど。
He wanted to retort that she was more like a queen than a princess. But he'd come to know her too well over the past 2 years to dig himself into a hole like that.
恨みはないね。それにしちゃ、恋に喧嘩売ってただろ。確かに調子の狂うやつだが、あいつほどいいやつはいねえだろうに。
And then you have sentences that are like 50. Oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. The only interactive part, I just can't. Yo, I need that face.
おい待て、なんだその足元のシロアリを見るかのような態度は。
別にあんたまでそのセリフを言うのかって心底から見避け果てただけよ。まあいっか。いいやつ、いい人、結構じゃない？喧嘩を売る相手としちゃ上等だわ。誰も憎んであげないなら私ぐらいそうしないとね。
She said casually, having regained her composure.
しないとねって、お前。
Tobimaru could not follow her reasoning at all. Tobimaru was used to Aoko's erratic train of thoughts, but hating Sojiro for no reason seemed needlessly cruel. His friend's naive and innocent face came to mind, and then he blurted,
けど、宗十郎は青崎が好きなんだぜ。それでも嫌いなのか？
His vow of silence had lasted not even 2 minutes.
いや、今のはな、青崎。
He tried to take it back, but it was too late. She had heard his words loud and clear. All he could hope for now was that she would take it well.
そりゃそうでしょ。好き嫌いは誰にもあるし。けどこればかりはね、彼が私と仲良くしたいって言っても私は嫌いなんだから仕方ない。
Stone cold Alco. Tobimaru found himself filled with indignation at how detached Alco was being.
いや、そんなお友達感覚の話じゃなくてだな。そういう好き嫌いじゃなくて、その字は本気でお前に惚れてるって言ったんだよ。
He shouted, his face, the what? He shouted his face, the embodiment of sincerity. Okay. Oh, I think there's a comma. Youth is a comma. Learn how to read. Come on now. Alco gave him a blank stare. Should I just read this? A Dragon Ball Fighters player tries to read like. It was the face of someone who had lost their wallet hours earlier and was only just realizing it now. The first instant of doubt that ushers in the reality of the situation. But an instant is all it was.
で、
She answered coolly, as if she had no idea why it should matter to her at all.
出ときたか。鬼でもなけりゃ悪魔だな。お前って女は。
I did it again. Toby what? Why? Okay, Tobimaru gave up any pretense of masculine solidarity and fired back hard.
いいわよそんなの。つまらないもの。
She ruthlessly cut him off. Thinking of the boys who still harbored unrequited love for Alco, Tobimaru tried hard to come up with a name better fitting to the demoness in front of him.
なるほどね。それでさっきの話に結びつくわけだ。
Dude, don't start playing this song. You expect me to read?
柄にもなく友達思いじゃない殿下。ってことは聞くも無残語るも無情っていう私の噂話教えてあげたんでしょ。
She laughs as a fiendish smile adorned her face. Tobimaro repented to God, whoever and wherever he or she might be, for bringing up Alko's love life.
飛び丸にしちゃ正しい判断ね。褒めてあげるからどんな話をしたのか聞きたいな私。
She was smiling, but Tobimaro wished she had at least tried to hide the bloodlust.
代表作とここでの事件を2つばかり。
Alko nodded with satisfaction as she listened to Tobiramo's What? Why do I keep doing that? Why? Can I read? Hello? How long again? Okay. Tobimaro's hesitant to answer.
こういう時噂話って便利よね。うるさいのを追っ払ってくれるから。でもそんな話を考えなしで広めたら大変だからこれからは気をつけてね。
Had this been in writing, the chilling, sweet tone of her words could have been signed with a heart. Whether angry or happy, Aozaki spoke in a disturbingly cute manner when she was in a heightened emotional state. Tobimaro took note of this new discovery, aware that it did nothing to get him out of the situation.
ああ、俺も命は惜しいからな。口はもう滑らねえよ。けどよ、青崎。本気で宗十郎が嫌いなのか?
He knew that it was a topic he would be better off avoiding, but he tried asking anyway. The bonds between men at times shine more beautifully than a pearl.
まあ好きじゃないから嫌いっていうわけじゃないけど私が彼のことを嫌う理由は自分でもわからない。だからダメなのねきっと。
Perhaps to placate Tobiraro. Alko paused in contemplation before she answered. Giving it a moment without immediately blurting out a response meant that not even he could complain.
そうか。まあ、そういうことならしょうがねえか。何しろ、綺麗さっぱり感情論だ。お互い理由もなく好きと嫌いじゃ、手を貸す隙間もねえわけだし。
Thinking that would be the end of it, Tobimaro looked up toward the ceiling, silently apologized to Sojiro. However, his final sentence appeared to have piqued Alko's interest.
待って今のどういう意味？
Her fall cheer had vanished. Failing to pick up on this, Tobimaro answered nonchalantly.
いや、あいつもさ、青崎に惚れた理由がわからないなんて言いやがってよ。ああ、違ったか。理由なんてないなんて意味だったかな。
Tobimaro was still in disbelief that Sojiro had been charmed by Alko's appearance, so he purposely let that part out.
理由はないですって。
ああ、なんで俺がいくらお前の噂話をしても無駄だった。天津さえなんて言ってたかな。あ、そうそう。理由はどうあれ、青崎の心配は本物なんだとか、自分はそれで助かってるとか、俺なんかには言えないセリフだったのは確かだね。どうにも。はっきりしてんのは、他の野郎どもと違って、噂を聞いても手を引く素振りなんざみじんもなかったってことだけ。
Tobimaro finally noticed the shift in Alko's demeanor. She was scowling at the wall. She glared at it in silence, like it was her worst enemy, and this continued for several minutes.
何それ？さっきといいそれといいどこかで聞いたようなことばっかり。
So great was her ire that the gnashing of her teeth was audible. The irritation seethed until it reached the point that Alko forgot Tobimaro was even in the room. Tobimaro looked heavenward for forgiveness. sensing that he'd brought further calamity down upon Sojiro's head.
少し分かったわ。なんであいつが気に食わないのか。
Tobimaru looked away as if to indicate that he'd rather not know, but Akko ignored him and began to grumble venomously.
あいつ、私が嫌いなやつと言動が似てるのよ。
Who could that be?
誰彼構わずいい人扱いされるところとか、妙にふわふわしてるところとか、いちいち私の勘に触るところとか。
Glancing idly up at the clock, Tobimaru thought that last part just sounded like misplaced anger. And that was that. 1 o'clock had come and gone.
わかった。もういい。この話をした俺が悪かった。で、俺に用ってのはなんだよ。言っとくけど、もう授業始まってるぜ。
え？授業って、なんで？いつ？
いや、さっき総の字が出てってから、青崎がギラーンって壁に睨んでた時にチャイムが鳴ったんだよ。いいのか、生徒会長。5次元目ばっくれて。
Jeez.
いいわけないでしょ。なんで黙ってんのよ、あんたは。
She looked like she was on the verge of tears as she shouted and pulled his necktie. Tobimaru raised his hands in mock surrender gesture, reserved only for the true victor.
蚊の方がエレガントなんて言いやがった仕返しだ。思い知るがいい。男の純情を踏みにじったり焼き殺したりするエリート悪魔め。
相変わらず細かく根に持つ男。言動には言動で返しなさいよね、卑怯者。
She tightened his necktie around his neck with a yank. The vice president smiled, a thuggish grin, as if her reaction made his victory that much sweeter.
お前の古典が破滅に向かっているのは周知の事実。そして A 組の5次元目は言うまでもない。藤代のばあさん。青崎のこと嫌ってるしな。
Fujishiro had one of the longest tenures at the school, so it was only natural she would be in charge of teaching the classics.
さあ、こんなところで俺のネクタイを引っ張る余裕があるのなら、急いで自分の教室に立ち返るがいい。情けだ。別に止めはしねえよ。
くそ、あんたなんかにはめられるなんて。このまま死んでしまえ。
She choked him even harder with his necktie. As Akko put words into action and mercilessly strangled Tobimaru, he saw his life flash before his eyes.
いや、待て待て。本当に死んじまうだろうが。今ならまだ間に合う。10分過ぎたら遅刻から欠席扱いだぞ。
Akko glanced up at the clock. It was still only 7 past 1. Her route was from the student council room on the 2nd floor to Class A classroom on the 3rd floor. If she ran, she could make it.
命拾ったわね、飛び丸。
Akko clicked her tongue in disappointment. Whoa. What? I'm sorry, sometimes I catch my own self off guard with the free form for like reading. What disturbed Tobimaru was that it didn't sound like an empty threat.
あと放課後、ここにいて。頼みたいことがあるのは本当なんだから。
She was halfway out the room before she even finished her sentence. Finally, all alone, Tobimaru closed the open door, locked it, and slumped into a chair.
たく。ああしてる分には楽しいやつなんだけどよ。青崎は。
He leaned back in the creaky folding chair and let out a sigh. The weather outside was beautiful, but the sunlight waned early in the morning. Or what? In the winter. Before long, daylight would fade, and the unheated student council room would grow colder and colder. All the good equipment, like the heater, had ended up in the main office, so he had no choice but to settle in the chilly afternoon.
こんな天気が続けばいいんだがね。天気予報じゃまた雲行き怪しいって話だが。
After his somewhat suggestive monologue, Tobimaru's mind drifted. He idly wondered to himself whether Sojiro was an overcast day or a clear day sort of guy, but no answers came. The school day was over. Sojiro headed straight to his job. Gotta do the deed, How long we in? Oh, wait. Hold on. That is playtime, correct? I was not playing this game at 1 o'clock. When did we play? We be playing for 20 hours? Is this overall playtime? Because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'd be leaving this game on and just listening to the music. I'm not even gonna lie. I just be playing the music. But that's overall playtime? Are you serious? There's no, because I was not playing this game at 1 o'clock. Right? Was I? Sojiro headed straight to his job. While the school had approved his jobs at the Chinese restaurant and the fish market in Misaki Shopping District, there was other work he hadn't mentioned to them. It was not because he knew that they would complain complain at him working too many, but rather because of the illicit nature of one of the jobs in particular. Today, his workplace was pachinko parlor in front of Yashirogi Station. Sojiro changed out of his school uniform and into a black faux tuxedo uniform that began cleaning the storefront. Ooh. We unlocking new music. This is all I need. We're gonna have 50 hours by the time we get to the next episode. Yashirogi was the jewel of Misaki City, a busy place with a vast assortment of commercial centers and shopping arcades, where there were people in mass. There were products made en masse. A romantic might describe it as a place of joy. A realist would note the free enterprise, and a cynic would point out all the garbage. Local authorities had attempted to beautify Yashirogi, but there was one basic tenet of society they could not overcome. This establishment was the embodiment of that rule. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Listen to the music, guys. Is that okay? Is that okay? Is that okay that I don't edit that out? Are you guys okay with that? Let me know in the comments if you got this far. First of all, let me know if you guys are okay with me just like stopping and not editing that out, because I feel like it disrupts the music, and I'm just like, sometimes you're just gonna chill, after watching something for an hour 25 read, you just gotta chill. How are you guys feeling with the story so far? Not a lot has happened yet. With visual novels or novels in general, it takes a while, to start getting into the meat of the story. You have to develop a lot of stuff. Like with Steins Gate, I'm like 10 hours in, like nothing has happened. Like, of course, there's little bits, of course, but nothing insane like, oh my god, I've never seen this before or whatever, like interesting has happened. And kind of the same thing with this, but luckily enough, Sojiro is enough to carry the story. That's my favorite character. Who's your favorite character so far? That's a good question. Who's your favorite character so far out of like the 4? I actually really like Alice too, and I wish we saw more of her, but we are in the beginning, and she's most likely a main character, as you can see her a lot on the box art. The establishment was the embodiment of that rule. Businesses such as this attracted the dregs of society, and as such, the front of the parlor had to be cleaned several times a day. Sojiro stood outside in the winter cold, sweeping up used cigarette butts, picking up discarded flyers, and tossing empty cans into the trash. Something about it must have reminded him of the mountain life, because he cheerfully finished the job with ease. After making sure the storefront was acceptably clean, he returned to the inside of the parlor, where it was nice and warm. Blinding lights, deafening sounds, and the oppressive odor of tobacco assaulted him as he passed through the parlor on his way to the office.
店長、外回りの掃除終わりました。
はい、ご苦労様。それでいいかな。2階の40番台のお客さんの様子見てきてくれない？どうも懐に飲んでそうなんだよね、あのお姉さん。
His boss was a good-natured man who used to work a desk job. The reason he employed someone like Sojiro, even though he was clearly a student, was not because he admired him for working his way through school. It was because all of the other employees were scary and intimidating, and he wanted at least have one employee who was not.
いいんですか？トイレの掃除まだですけど。
いいの。なんかね、カメラの死角にいるんでいまいち確証取れないの。そうちゃん、今のところ的中率 100% でしょ。様子見てきてくれないかな。
Hearing that, Sojiro put away his cleaning equipment and headed upstairs. It was a typically large-scale pachinko. Pachinko parlor with 2 floors. It prided itself on being a local establishment that was satisfied with taking the locals' money little by little without resorting to more exploitive means. Isn't gambling illegal in Japan? So they're not gambling, right? I don't know. Is pachinko a game? I wonder. But regardless of the parlor's intentions, its customers were not so scrupulous. Among them were casual players, professional gamblers, and cheaters looking to profit by exploiting whatever loopholes they can find. Of particular prevalence was a device deployed in the mid-80s that could disrupt the machine's circuitry from the outside and make it much easier to get what was called a 777 jackpot. As much as the parlor wanted to deny these cheaters entry, it needed to present hard evidence of cheating or risk losing customers, particularly in the service industry. Innocent until proven guilty was not a rule taken lightly. Misclick. As a result, they could only punish the customers they had caught in the act. Such cheaters were known as gotoshi, a slice of society where Sojiro knew nothing about. What he did know was that they were inconveniencing his employer and violating their rules. He went upstairs. The radio and game machine sounds on the second floor were quieter than wow. Okay, because cacophony downstairs. I was trying to say canopy for some reason, even though it didn't say that. In the freeform reading, my guy. You guys should try it. There were hundreds of game machines on the ground floor, over 80 on the second. While there were some empty seats here and there, it was a solid evening turnout. The machine mentioned by his boss was in the center aisle. Sojiro nonchalantly leaned back against the wall and watched the customer hit the jackpot over and over again. I almost screamed just now. That made my heart drop. I've seen her in box arts. I've seen her. So I know who this is. That's all I gotta say. The second he saw her, his gut told him that she was not cheating. He was still not sure what made someone a master swindler, but if it meant they were special, this woman certainly fit that description. It was almost as if he could feel the luck emanating from her. As the customers looked on, she silently turned the handle again and again. She appeared older than Sojiro. She wore a green, form-fitting one-piece dress. A pair of stockings covered her legs. Her slender legs were gracefully crossed, and her elegance suited a painting better than a casino. Her dark reddish hair was cut short in a bob, perfectly framing her stylish spectacles and crimson lips. Truth be told, something was off about the picturesque beauty ringing the jackpot over and over again. 4 boxes worth of pachinko balls at her feet, and her winning streak showed no signs of abating. She looked bored as her slender porcelain fingers lifted a long cigarette to her lips. That's the girl you saw either stretching or shooting fire, I'm telling you. Just as that thought crossed his mind, her gaze turned towards the wall and Sojiro. Oh my god. Okay. This is why I don't play horror games. Suddenly, a chill ran down his spine. He reflexively covered his mouth to keep from shrieking.
あの人昨日
I told you, I knew it. Acting on pure instinct, Sojiro took off running. He headed straight downstairs, desperate to not be on the same floor as her. He would have run straight out the door for his obligations to his job.
店長早退します。それと2階の人は問題ないです。
He tried to keep his composure as he spoke, jamming his school uniform into a paper bag as he ran out the parlor. Cloudy weather. Dang, he's running. Cloudy weather brought the shadow of night over Yashirogi as he ran through the shopping center arcade toward the station. He shot up the long staircase like an arrow, quickly pulled his train pass from his wallet, and passed through the ticket gate. The ticket gate was crowded with people standing around, walking and talking. The station attendant by the automatic ticket machine had an unpleasant look on his face. There was now a familiar, comforting hustle and bustle around him. Just another day in the city. Nothing like what he had witnessed the night before. He could finally breathe again. The momentary rush of relief brought him to an abrupt stop. He nervously turned around. There was no way that dangerous individual could be behind him.
考えてみると
He couldn't think of a good reason for why he fled so desperately. As far as he could remember, he hadn't even seen the threat's face long enough to form an opinion about her. Sojiro gave himself a good slap on the cheek to pull himself together and quickly made his way down to the platform. Unfortunately, the next train was 10 minutes away, and panicking would do him no favors. So he quietly found an empty seat and sat down. He took another deep breath. He was surrounded by people waiting for the train just like he was, and no sign of anyone pursuing him. His head finally cleared up, and he assured himself that he was overthinking things, though he was surprised at how heavy his shoulders felt.
疲れてるのは分かってる。自分の体のことだし。
Sojiro sighed at his greater than expected fatigue. He had certainly struggled since coming down from the mountains, but in retrospect, it could have been worse. Physically, he was probably holding up fine. He was much less confident about his mental state. The city and the mountains could not have been more different. He had been slow to recognize the differences and adapt. Acclimation was simple enough. Humans were nothing if not adaptable. Even without any effort, one would learn to adjust over time. Recognizing the challenges had been that hard part.
そりゃ
What had been the hard part?
とにかく難しいことだらけだし。
I'm fumbling right now. Sojiro grumbled the complaint he had never uttered before. To be honest, he was still afraid to wander around town. There were so many things city people took for granted that Sojiro had yet to grasp. It was little wonder that this never-ending chain of surprises would wear on him.
そっか。疲れてるのは体じゃないのか。だからあんな幻を見る。
He muttered to himself, then shook his head. That which exists. Such was the way of all things. So I read witch as witch in my head. So that was Tobimaru had called it hallucination, but Sojiro knew what he had saw was real. The city was a magical kingdom compared to the mountains. If there were real magicians secretly living there, that should not have been a surprise at all. The thought alone made his legs tremble. It took him a moment longer to realize that they were quivering out of fear. He had feared the unnatural ever since he encountered a wild bear on a mountain path as a child. That's not natural?
いや、あれはこんなもんじゃなかったっけ。なりふり構わず泣き叫んだもんな、あの時は。
Sojiro smiled a little as he recalled his traumatic childhood memory. Anyone would have fainted at the sudden appearance of a growling beast that towered over 6 feet tall. The monster in the movie that Sojiro saw not 2 days ago was the equivalent of a cuddly stuffed animal when compared to the wild mountain creatures. He was reminded that he'd faced far worse before, and his ordeal now was something that he could endure.
そうだよな。今の問題はちらっと聞こえた最後のセリフか。
Someone stomping mighty hard in my ear. At face value, the meaning was obvious, but the implications were simply too frightening to contemplate seriously. Perhaps he had misheard the words, or perhaps the speaker had misspoke.
都会のルール。誰かがきっと罰しに来る。か。
Even as he said it, the idea didn't feel quite real. It was hard to imagine that it applied to him. Sojiro breathed in his closed eyes. His vision dimmed, putting the illuminated cityscape out of sight and out of mind. For now, he resolved to put last night's events behind him. When he opened his eyes, his breathing had calmed.
それでさ、青崎を殴りつけようとして、結局どうなったんだ？
The question suddenly popped into Sojiro's head. He decided he would ask next time, and stood up from his chair. A long streak of light blazed by, announcing the arrival of the next train. Which on the holy nights, that is the second chapter done. Okay, I like this pacing. We're an hour and 40 in. I'm not sure if we should end it. Like, do we do chapter by chapter? I mean, that would make sense. But I also feel like I would like to include a lot more than what we just saw, right? Because we had one crazy event and the rest was like character building. I would hope to, have more. I could save over this. That's playtime, right? Tell me that's playtime. That's playtime. Why would they put the seconds in there? Okay, so I want to keep going. Again, this is probably gonna be the longest episode. I don't know. You guys, again, let me know how long you guys want these episodes. If at all, I I don't get comments a lot. A lot of you guys aren't. I'm just joking. I appreciate everyone that joins in. You don't have to comment if you don't like to, but if you do like this series, please let me know how long you like these episodes. I want to continue. Like, in my heart of hearts, I want to continue, but it's also like chapter by chapter could be cool. I'm gonna continue. I do want to show something though. Hold on. I was talking in the last video, and of course this keeps happening. Every time I ask for a feature, it's there, right? If you go to extra and you go to CG mode, they actually show you a bunch of the photos. I guess this is from chapter 1 and then chapter 2. Okay, I don't know how exactly it works, but yeah, they actually give you a bunch of the pictures throughout the game and take the text away. That being said, I would still like, because it's not everything in the game, right? Wait a minute, hold on. If you go to CG or archive, right? And our archive should be bigger, correct? Yes. Can I select something? Let's show this. What city? This I don't understand what this is. I'm kind of afraid to read it. Chapter 1. See, it's chapter 1.5, right? Like, so we went through chapter 1 and 2, not 1.5. So I'm assuming that this is just. Do we read this now? Let's see. Let's test it out. Oh, we did see this. Morning in the city moved incredibly fast. It made one wonder. Hold on. We did read this, no? No. That's a brand new scene. The unfamiliar roar awoke him, reminded him of a rock slide. The identity of the monstrous sound was an engine of a motorcycle. Mr. Yoshida, his neighborhood, was leaving for work. It was hard to determine when night ended and morning began here. The town's urbanization was synonymous with insomnia.
信じられない。まだ日も昇ってないのに。吉田さんはどこに行くのか。
He sluggishly lifted himself off the floor. He caught himself starting to survey his surroundings out of habit before deciding better off it, and made his way to the washroom. Why did we skip this? There he poured himself a cup of water and slowly gulped it down. Having been regulated to well water until recently, he found the convenience pleasing. Pleased was definitely the word that best described how he felt. Civilization was about erasing inconvenience through optimization. The reduction of labor in our daily lives. Mr. Koga had taught him that while the essentials were easier than ever to get our hands on, life itself was growing more and more complex. So too was it his duty to adjust to his new reality. I never thought of that. I've never thought of that. Like, you think back to like way back in the days where people would literally just, oh, I just want a wife and kids. I'll work a 9 to 5, come home. You know, we have money, we have food on the table. That's all. Like, that was literally it for a long time, right? You had the man go out and do whatever work he had to do. The woman stays at home, takes care of the kid, and that was it, right? But now that we're getting more, you know, I guess convenience, life itself and like finding a purpose is a lot harder. That's so interesting to think about. Wow, I never thought about it like that. That is true. That's an interesting revelation. As a distant relative of Sojiro's father, Mr. Koga had taken Sojiro in, even though the boy had been little more than a stranger in his life until that point. Mr. Koga had helped him get registered at school and find an apartment to lease, though he had insisted that Sojiro's handle on his residence card and register his change of address by himself. This series of procedures provided exceedingly difficult for Sojiro, but knowing that this was a part of his new city life, he did his best to complete them diligently. While they may have been reputation for being a stickler for the rules, city officers weren't that bad. It was the first thing Sojiro learned at the beginning of his life in the city. 2 weeks had elapsed since he left his countryside. As uneasy as living alone made him feel, he felt he could make it work. It was not as if the people here spoke another language, and Mr. Koga was absolutely right about how practical the rules of the city were. Sojiro continued down the hard but surprisingly walkable path. Before work, he jogged in the park to pass time. Even exercise like this offered lessons for Sojiro to learn. This is so interesting. Each passing person was a new face to look at. The old man who greeted him, the young worker with his eyes to the ground, and the girl on the bench surrounded by birds. They were all unfamiliar sights to Sojiro. Unaccustomed to the city, he labored to understand its rules. Whether they were complex or simple, or completely meaningless, compared to mountain life, which only dealt with nature, city life left one with too many options. You could argue that such an environment was toxic for Sojiro. So far, this 1.5 chapter seems to just be filling in some gaps that aren't too important, but someone could want to know, like, where does he live? How did he get here? His relative, right? And what does he do in the mornings? Like, that's so, oh my God. I love this. I'm sorry. I want to see that Alice one now. His life was a string of unsettling moments. But amongst it all, there were rules that he sincerely admired. For one, that the city revolved around various forms of profit and loss. The fact that one only needed money to get bare essentials to survive in the city was a comforting thought to Sojiro. Hmm.
いや、そうシンプルな話じゃねえよ。
Kinomi.
金なんてものはあくまで記号で、本当に大事
See,
なのは
that's how I
別なん
know.
だから
That's
さ
how I know for sure that this 1.5 chapter is just like filler, but not really filler. So like they ended up telling you that he works there, but you could have saw if he. That's interesting.
所詮は流動する肩叩き券と変わんねえっつうが、別に1万円札食ってもうまくねえっつうが。ああ、ともかく金で真心は買えねえじゃん。じゃねえよ、ざけんなよ。俺は悲しいよ。ついこの間まで4000ポッチの日当に鹿みたいに首かしげていた正直者がくったらねえ皿洗いをしながら、世の中金だよなんてボソッと言わないでくれっつな。
いや、 貨幣制度は素晴らしいと思う。正直物々交換の限界を感じた。それより木の実、ふざけてるとそれ落とすぞ。
っておお、やべやべ、次割ったら今度こそ俺の頭が割られちまうからな。忠告サンキュー。それで相談事？何？もしかして金？
そうなんだ。とりあえずお金は大事で、たくさんあるに越したことはないって痛感した。なんでできればもうちょっと働きたい。
マジ？マシンみたいに皿洗いをこなしながら夢のない。
Okay, I'm gonna hold on. I can just skip. Okay, you see how fast I skip it? Okay, cool. I'm just making sure of something really quick. I can actually save here too. So that's I forgot about that. So if I ever want to come back, okay, cool. And it shows you that you're in archives. That's cool. I like that. So I want to go back to archives, right? I want to see, is this the second part of it? It isn't. Is it? Hold on, let's check. It isn't. Okay, so does this follow a different character? Yes, we're at the mansion. When am I gonna? I don't know when to put this in. All right, maybe the next episode will be chapter 1.5. I apologize. I should have done this right after. I didn't know. I don't know. Should I look Alice, bro? What? Hold on, because I gotta see this. Oh my God, we're under the glass moon. Hold on. Okay. What?
バックアップ開始。レコード送信。周囲の地形をスキャンします。大気成分、窒素異常なし、酸素異常なし、アルゴン異常なし、二酸化炭素異常なし。第5仮説要素、異常あり。周囲の時空連続体に齟齬を確認。第一種危険物との遭遇と断定。視覚領域を主観から客観に変更。自律回路を予備電源に、計測回路を主電源に変更。カメラを赤外線計測から虚数線計測に変更。では、これより戦闘行為の記述を開始します。主よ、どうか我が身を守りたまえ。
Okay. Oh my God, this is so fire. Misaki City was a thickly wooded area. Urban development continued unabated, but Mother Nature still drew beneath its outskirts. Wise old trees had been turned into lumber. The leaves had begun to turn into mulch. Even though the birds, who curiously tilted their heads, had moved on, the verdure lived on, a testament to its enduring strength. Until the time came that the devouring light of civilization became powerful enough to encroach upon nature's mysterious domain. These woods were no exception. The outlying border between Misaki City and Misaki Hills had been left untouched. Though driven from their nests and dens here, wildlife continued to subsist even today. No longer able to return to the days before man, it was just like any other forest situated next to a town. Yo. Winter had arrived in the woods. Why is this the most interesting thing that's happened so far? The chill cut like a razor. This music. The icy air so thick it could reach one's bones. Exposed cheeks stiffened, and wisps of breath formed swirls in the air before disappearing. It was 1 degree above freezing. The cold snap penetrated every nook and cranny of the woods, from the ground to the trees to the wildlife.
高くちゃんとバザムダリドとクラフト
The forest allowed nobody entry during the day. During the winter, it willed the animals to slumber. The still evening air felt like stagnant breath of the lingering dead. The forest consumed the moonlight, obscuring the sight of even the closest precipices and hastening the untimely doom of any soul unfortunate enough to become lost within. The only noises to be heard were the whispering of the wind and the murmuring of the stream. The immortal darkness stifled any sense of life. Not the breath of an animal, much less that of a person, was drawn into this place. However, a figure in black, not of this place, skulked within. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that. That's the story of my life. It cast the tiniest, frailest of silhouettes, like a small boat lost in the sea of fog. Its trepidatious footsteps echoed throughout the woods. It's my girl, Alice. There, exiting the veil of trees, was the unmistakable likeness of a young girl.
To see such cleft under this away with the spoon 来たぞ来たぞ
いるぞいるぞ。
誰が
誰と誰が？
お腹は減ったの
お腹は鳴ったさ。
どっちが飛べる
どっちも食べる。
君は左手
お前は右手。
歓迎しないと
感激しないと。何しろようやく楽しいお客。
ついでにお腹と脛骨も
せっかくだからよく噛まないと。
The shadows in the trees laughed ominously. A hallucination? An illusion? Or perhaps something real? The shadows frolicked in time to the girl's pace.
さあさあさあさあ
もっと奥へもっと奥へ。
ところでダイスは細工済み
お腹の重いローデット。
端っこかじったエッジワーク
どうでもいいけど肝心要の6の目だけは出さないように。
The girl knitted her eyebrows. She heard voices and felt the presence of things that should not be. Scary enough to frighten this particular girl. As if her tightly pursed lips betrayed not a hint of fear. The girl walked of her own volition. If she had truly felt fear, her legs would be frozen, deep within the trees. She was perfectly aware of the 2 humanoid figures stalking her through the still night air.
見たぞ見たぞ
来るぞ来るぞ。
もう諦めろ
もう帰れない。
あんなに教えてあげたのに
よそに消えないお前が悪い。
The girl halted in her steps. Racket from the accompanying voices died in turn. The babbling brook suddenly sounded like a crackling fire. And then, across the shallow stream, something appeared that should not exist in the city. much less these woods. The girl addressed them calmly. These men, with their Glasgow grins, creeped toward her like two slugs.
そう。ただの墓守り。監視だけが仕事なのね。失敗したわ。これなら青子に任せればよかった。ああ。
The one grinning man stood still, the other shaking violently as if unable to contain himself any longer, toward the girl.
青子にはまだ荷が重いわね。そんな姿だけど、あなたたちは一人前の魔術師のようだし。
Her black outfit stared. In her right hand, wow. Okay, how long are we in? Hour 58, almost 2 hours. Let's go. In her right hand, she held a virtuous cat, darker than the deepest night. The two Glasgow men let out a yelp of caution and incoherent fear. It was the moment that they finally bared their intention and emotion.
さようなら、お客様。きっと一瞬だろうから、お別れだけ言っておくわ。
The two shuddered at her words. They had no mouths nor ears or brains to begin with. For creatures like these, words were redundant. All that existed was the present. For these soulless creatures, fears and hopes were nothing more than an unimaginable future. Holy. Then what could this feeling be of foreboding they felt? The spine-chilling miracle that would rip them from pieces not moments from now. Ooh.
さあ、ごっこ遊びをしましょう。お人形さん。
Where is this level of animation and budget in the actual story? Why haven't we gotten this yet at all? Her song sounded like a bell echoing through the white woods. The girl, oh my god, that hit me. Hold on. The girl's voice vanquished from the frost that had gripped the trees. Then,
いやいや、ずいぶん待たされた。
さあ、赤ずきんの登場だ。
the curtains opened on Diddle Diddle, the banquet of the night. In confusion, one slit-mouthed man swooped toward the girl. In fear, the other fled into the woods behind them. The deformed humanoid darted forward, kicking up water as it rushed the girl. She already knew what the fiend was. The grinning figure had scissors for its hands and a demon's heart. It was a wretch who kidnapped children mercilessly, rendering them into pieces.
トゥイードル。
お任せお任せ。
ようやく出番だ。あらよっと。
Holy crap. What? Okay. The piglets bounded and rebounded like paddle balls. The stuffed animals, over 3 feet in length, jumped and weaved their way between the trees. Even with these strange creatures before him, the grinning man did not so much as blink. He raised his arms, but what emerged from his coat sleeves were not the human appendages you'd expect. In their place, fiendish cleavers, more than 1.5 feet in length. The appendages, which had torn so much of their prey to pieces, sliced cleanly through the flying pig's skull. His limbs froze in place. The pigs' bodies were sliced perfectly in half, but then, bisected from head to tail, the pig's innards became as alligator's jaws and clamped down on the grinning man's arms. His fingertips to shoulders, they were swallowed whole. It was all it took to rob the man of the control over his entire body. Oh! Another shiver of fear. These were no mere pig familiars. Immediately he realized that these were stapler monsters disguised as mere pigs.
捕まえたのは D だってば。ああ、でも残念。ご主人様は無口で無情で無関心。結局どっちの手柄も同じこと。London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down.
Impossible. Its presence murmured 3 times. Not possible. Not possible. Not possible. Talking pigs were one thing. Even having one's arms chopped off was the realm of occupational hazard. In an instant, the woods was enveloped in a dense wave of magical energy. Though vexing, it was still impressive. None of these facts were particularly extraordinary. These rare familiars, their bizarre attack, the sheer innate magical energy to overwhelm others. He had experience with all these things. His employer was skilled enough to achieve all of this as well. However,
どうするいつまで放置手足一本瞬きだって贅沢だお支払いは面倒でもできればポンドでお願いします
what were they? Not vessels, not living creatures, not beings powered by magic circuits. Even though his arm had been bitten off, or had been bitten, none of his body would move. It was nothing like being bounded or weakened. It felt more like he had been overcome by words written in a book, fated to keep to their page. As the grinning figure's deformities indicated, he had overcome numerous curiosities and monstrosities, illusions, enthrallment, compulsions, freezing, one had to get me, putefactions, and even petrifactions, a power granted to only the pinnacle of mystic eyes. From poison to magecraft, he had now I'm starting to get into the more like Tsukihime like powers and magic circuits and mystic eyes. We're probably gonna get into it the next episode, right? Which I'm probably gonna honestly. It's 8:42, man. I don't know. Maybe I should record something else and then come back. From poisonous, yes. But this was something different altogether. Oh. The penalty that bound him now was based on different principles from blood, flesh, oxygen, or heat. It was an unknown restraint that followed the no rules he'd known. Indeed, though it was terrifying to admit, it was as if he had encountered something alien to everything in this world.
London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down. London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady.
Fangs sank into his left and right shoulders. For the first time in this form, he felt rage seethe up inside him. The basis of all things had to be absolute. All mystics, all the bizarre obeyed some set of laws. But these pigs ignored this, along with his dignity.
3日で衰弱6日で溺死半年経てば惨めな骸骨でもご無礼面倒だから今殺そうか
A howl. Though he had no voice, he let out an exasperated scream. Jeez.
なんて便利自分の腕を外せる機構お前こそ三国一のものだよ
The talkative pigs fell into the stream. The exasperated scream was the sound of the figure tearing its arms from their sockets. Armless, he rushed the girl.
役立たず後で仕置きが必要ね
He may have lost his mangled arms, but not the object of his malice. A mystic eye to pierce the hearts of his victims. A magic circuit designed to stop a beating heart. It was beautiful in its simplicity. At point blank range, it was the equivalent of an unavoidable shotgun blast. Huh? But tragically, that eye was all he had.
Build the up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Build the up with wood and clay, my fair lady.
He failed to realize that her song had changed. Jeez. Alice is a different beast. For the giant, the earth-shattering strike was akin to the act of shooing away an insect. Its green, granite veins pulsed. Oaken bark covered its body, hardened sufficiently over centuries to repel even a chainsaw. On its forehand, inscribed in all manner of colors, was the word Emeth. Though judging from its misspelled, the inscription was purely decorative. The Thebes troll? It also went by the moniker Falling Down, or alternatively, the Great Grinch. Admired in different forms, it was the first of the 4 miracles. She just summoned her persona? The giant responded to the girl's words. With roots rent deep into the earth, it raised its left arm into the heavens without moving a step. Elsewhere in the forest, the grinning figure had chosen to flee the battle, was running through the night forest at full speed. Record and provide a detailed description of the enemy. These were orders assigned to him. He poured all his energy into escaping the forest, which he had become so familiar with. In case of emergency, the plan for one to challenge the enemy while the other made a tactical retreat in order to report to the master. He dashed to the forest. Though gripped by fear, he was confident in his ability to perform the mission he was designed for. Nothing could catch him in these woods. Even the wolves could not track him. His bird-like legs thumped as they kicked the ground. Perhaps it was his creator's eccentric taste that dictated their form when optimizing them for running. The grinning man could reach a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, well past the limit of any bipedal creature. After securing a distance of several miles, he turned around to confirm his safety. There was no sign of pursuit. His crescent-shaped mouth, nay, eye slacked in relief. And then, he realized he was in the same place, huh? After facing forward once more, he looked up and his eyes locked with
London Bridge is broken down,
Oh my.
broken down, broken down.
In the distance, he could hear the dark rhymes of Mother Greece. Countless vines extended from the ground. They formed into a monstrosity that conjured up images of an arced bridge, something resembling a giant arm.
London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady.
最終報告生還は困難解析は困難転送は困難状況を終了しますはあ主よどうかこの身を守り
済んだよね。お疲れ様。戻ってテムズ。次はもっと高価な場所ならいいのだけど。
The girl turned on her heel. The invaders who had set up shop in the woods were eliminated. She had no interest in whether they had been good or evil, nor how many victims they had claimed. The shackles of civic society held no sway over her. This was the way of a pure-blooded witch, the way of a monster.
僕たちは？ねえ、僕たちは？
この腕抜けないんだけど。
噛んだままだと僕らも動けないっていうかさ。
ひどい。飛べない豚に用はないと。
次はお役に立ちます、きっと。生まれてこの方、失敗続きの僕らだけど。
壊れるまでに一度くらいは褒められたいね。
The girl let out a sigh and stepped into the stream. She removed her gloves and dipped her slender figure into the ice water.
6の目は出すなって言うけど、6の目しか出ないようになってるわよね、あなたたち。
There was no response to her melancholy tone. In place of the one boisterous pig were 2 black dice, now sitting in the palm of her hand. As the girl was about to say something to the scattered remains around her, she realized something that made her put her hand in her mouth.
お別れは済ませていたわね。目ぐらいは聞いておくべきだったかしら。
Her slender, pale fingers traced her lips as if reluctant to part from them. Sighing again, she calmly left the dark woods the same way she had entered. Well, that was entertaining to say the least. Holy crap. That is what I was hoping out of this. Like, can we get more of that? Maybe later down the road we'll get more of that. Like, we saw some of it today in that gambling scene. That caught me off guard how crazy they went. So I hope you guys can see this and stick with the series. I'm going to stick with it. I'm very much enjoying it so far, and I hope you guys are as well. Now, I don't know how we're going to go about the 1.5 chapters. I could start the next one with it or end the next one with it. I don't know how that's going to work, but that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed Wish on the Holy Night and are continuing to enjoy this series. Again, let me know if you guys enjoy these longer episodes or not. I think I prefer them. Editing it, you know, I don't really edit these videos, so it's really just me watching them for 2 hours and then uploading it, making sure everything's cool with the audio. And so let me know. Right now, again, I prefer these. And if nobody comments on it, it's probably going to stay in this longer 2-hour form, especially because this is a long story and it feels like doing an hour each time or less than an hour would take me months to complete this. So yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, youth versus eternal. Remember, there's no such thing as hard, just how long you're willing to fight.
Ha ha ha.